winners. If they don't finish the match, will they replay it on another occasion? Will they finish tonight? If they do, PSG, if they win, they'll go ahead of Leipzig on away goals from the head-to-head. So we shall find out later on. But okay, well, we'll show you United's attempt at a comeback very shortly. But first, let's hear from the United captain, Harry Maguire. He's with Andy May.
Harry, exciting finish, but ultimately not what you wanted. Can you sum up why you've been beaten here in Germany?
Started the game too slow. Wasn't good enough the first 20 minutes. We wasn't at it, and they scored the two chances which they get. They put two balls in the box, and we failed to deal with a cross. And that's how we've been beaten, because the second half we gave everything, and they've scored their only attack. Another cross. So we've got to look at ourselves, really. We gave ourselves too much to do. We've been coming from behind, so we had great belief we could do it. You've seen how close we come at the end. The amount of chances we've had, the shots we've had, I don't know the stats. But ultimately we start the game too slow, and we can't keep giving goals away and falling behind.
Bruno hits the bar. If that goes in, it's 2-1. That would have been an easier task to overcome, wouldn't it, in the final part of the match?
Well, we said in the game Saturday at half-time we was 2-0 down, and we said the next goal is crucial, and we said it again tonight. We piled all sorts of pressure on them, and then they go and score in the first attack, and a little deflection off them, and it falls into his path, and they make it 3-0, and then the task becomes even bigger. We still have belief, but for sure the third goal in the match was, well, it proved to be the crucial one in the end, and we felt like that at half time. But even when we did go 3 down, we had belief that we needed to score the next goal. We managed to do it, and like I said, you've seen how close we come at the end, but we didn't start the game well enough.
The changing of shape of formation, and we saw it change in the game more than once today here. How much of a factor is that, do you think? The fact that you're not getting used to playing in the same shape all the time? I don't want to look at excuses. I don't want to, as a player out there, there's 11 bodies out there who's got to go out there, be aggressive, win the first balls, win the second balls, defend crosses. It's the basics of football, so it doesn't matter what shape you're in. If you can't defend crosses, you're going to lose football matches. So we've conceded 2 goals from crosses. We was playing a 3, a 5, whatever you want to call it. But if we was playing a 4, we'd probably be in the same situation. So I don't want to look at shape. Obviously, we changed the shape after we went 2 goals down, and we looked more comfortable, but it's not an excuse. And you're captain of United. You know the standards, you help to set the standards. How almost unacceptable, damaging is it that you've gone out of the Champions League at this stage, even in a tough group, to be fair to you?
Yeah, it's a tough group, but we looked at the group and we thoroughly felt like we should get through. That's the standards of this club, like you say. So I'm the captain. I'm disappointed. I'm gutted in there for everyone, because we worked so hard last year to become and reach this competition. Everyone wants to play in this competition, and this club deserves to be in this competition, but we've got to get through the group, and we know no matter what group we was drawn in, it was going to be tough because you're playing against good teams, but we've got to do more. Thanks, Harry. Thank you.
Interesting, he talked about the system and playing a 3 or a 5, whatever you want to call it, as he said, and then we changed and it was better. They are changing system an awful lot. Do you think that's difficult for footballers to do?
Well, no, I think the modern player does it a lot more, but I think we made the point before the game, the top teams, often you know how they're going to play, don't you? Bayern, Liverpool, yeah. You pretty much know every player that's going to play. Yeah. And I think Ole's trying to find something, because he's got a lot of pieces of the puzzle and you're not exactly sure how they fit. Today, you play the 2-up where you think, okay, that it's great, but actually defensively, they weren't really back in position where they had any pressure on the ball in midfield where the initial crosses came from. So I think Ole's had great success with playing with the 5, hasn't he? At times, some of his biggest wins have come with that. But today, when they didn't play any centre forward on the pitch, they only had Olmo and Poulsen and Nkunku, who kind of played deep. All of a sudden, almost negates that back 5. So today, it didn't work.
I thought they looked like a team that didn't know how to play with a back 5. Listen, it can be, when you're playing well, it's a back 3, but when you're pinned back the way they were, but they became a back 5 who still looked disjointed and couldn't defend crosses. Like
therein lies the problem with that system, doesn't it? If you end up pinned back as a back 5, which is fine if you're a small club playing against a giant, but if it's Manchester United or a top team in the Champions League, you've got to make sure that you're a 3 and the 2 wing backs are attacking rather than defending.
Yeah, and they weren't able to do that. No. And we saw that immediately as the game started, and they were being overrun totally in midfield as well. And
it can't be easy to work at a system that you've not played in recent weeks with different personnel, because games come so thick and fast, especially at the moment under these circumstances.
Yeah, I mentioned that at half time. You're going into games in 1 day's preparation at times.
Yeah.
What I think, Ollie, I think what he's trying to do is trying to find an identity for the team. We're coming here today, none of us know how they're going to play, what system they're going to do, how they're going to do it. We've just no idea. Yeah. Now, it's very difficult for Ollie to find that because the team is so inconsistent. You just can't find a way of playing.
Does a manager go in and say, this is my style of football, and you're going to play it? And if you don't, I'll find players that can.
And it's easy to find personnel that way as well as recruitment.
Well, that's where recruitment comes into it. Which what we had the conversation a couple of weeks ago. How can a director of football buy a player for Manchester United? You don't know if it's going to be 3, you don't know if it's going to be 2 holding players, you don't know if it's going to be 1 holding player, you don't know where to play.
Well, I think that's
they need to find an identity.
The identity is gone, and Ollie needs to find that.
And I think that's the problem, is that I don't think that Ollie's come in and said, this is the way we're going to play, this is my style of football. I think he's saying, right, I'm going to just try and find something that suits the players that I have here, and I think that's
on this game by game
situation, and I think that's not the thing that.
I tell you what, another worrying thing. We talk about leaders in the team. Aaron Maguire's interview, he said we weren't ready for the first 20 minutes. We weren't at it for the first 20 minutes. No. A big game. How can you not be up for a game?
There's no excuse.
Such a tough game coming to Germany. They should never be in this position in the first place, but they are, and they're not ready for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. Do you think that was mentally not ready, or perhaps because of the change of system, though? Sometimes it throws everyone at sea.
I think
surely the effort was there.
I think he's talking mentality there.
Yeah,
and Ollie took another risk playing Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's, he's not played football for 4 weeks, is it? A month, and he's a lad who takes weeks to get his fitness back.
Yeah, you know what, I think Julian Nagelsmann would have looked at that first 5-0, and I think he would have seen a lot of things that encouraged him, that he knew that they could get a result in this game. Yeah. And to be fair to him, he was right. You know, they played brave, and they got some men proud, and that's why they won.
He's a great up-and-coming coach, there's no question about that.
Yeah, he is, but you watched the Bayern game at the weekend. It's an open game. Yeah. Like, there's no, it's not a surprise that this RB Leipzig team are going to give you chances. If you're just short a tight unit at the back, you know you're going to get chances in this game. That's what I don't understand. That first 15, 20 minutes is vital. Any European away game you go to, the first thing you say when you're leaving the changing room, keep it tight here, stay in the game, and we will get chances. Because we've seen that.
And silence the crowd.
And silence the crowd that weren't there. At the moment. So that's one less problem for you. But what I'm saying is that if you're not thinking like that before the game's even started, it doesn't seem like they went out with even that little type of mentality. And it baffles me to see that.
Yeah. OK, let's take a little breather when we come. In terms of Manchester United, they just weren't good enough tonight, Rio. Flattered a bit at the end, but...
No, listen, when you start the way they did, they went 2 goals before they even took a breath. When that happens in a game of this importance, you only got yourself to blame. Listen, they know how important this game would have been before going into it. And we said before the game, you've got to start right. Don't concede goals early on. Get through that first 15 minutes, get yourself into the game. Yeah. Didn't even have a chance to do that because they weren't on it and they weren't at it from the beginning.
Just keep getting off to bad starts, Paul. You can't keep getting away with that, can you? Clearly.
No, you can't when you come to the Champions League against a quality team like Leipzig. We've been speaking before, and they've done it against mediocre, mid-table teams in England. But you do it in the Champions League against quality opposition. It's just not going to happen every week. These teams are just too good, they're too experienced, they're too good at doing what they do. And look, bad defending, we know that, but I think you have to give Angelino credit. It's a lovely finish.
I thought they were just chasing shadows early on in the game. That back 5, they were so deep, and Leipzig were just popping around the midfield. Switching player will put a lot of pressure on United. They never got out. They never had the ball for the first 20 minutes. And as Reece said, they were 2 down before you even blinked.
Is that the manager's fault, though? I mean, he set up that system. They've not played it for, a few weeks now? I think PSG, they played that game away.
I think the difference is when they've played 3 at the back before, they've been playing up against people. The other team strikers have played up against them,
Mbappe,
so
Neymar,
you know exactly where you are. Neymar, Mbappe, etc. You know where you are. Then it's me against you, etc. This team the way Julian Nagelsmann set his team up, they were chasing shadows because people were being asked questions. Do I go in there and mark him or not? You got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, didn't have someone right up against him, asking questions, didn't even play.
Well, it begs the question, though, if you know the opposition are going to play possibly one up who's actually a withdrawn 9,
it's a waste of a
false 9. You've got 3 players actually basically marking no one, or one should push in.
We saw that for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we were saying that. Scholes, he said it actually. The first person to say it. Change 2 players now. Change from 3 at the back definitely to go 4. So you've actually got an extra man in midfield. Didn't do it. Waited till half time to even make a substitution. So, but again. The substitutions, it was too late. It was 2-0 before he was going to make a substitution anyway. Yeah,
you mentioned 2-0. Haidara with that goal. Very similar to the first one, albeit from the other side.
Yeah, look, and again, it's all here. You know, they're popping about. They've got numbers there, switch of play, it's open on the other side. And this was the theme, really, in the first part of the game, where the midfield just popping about, get it to the other side, get an overload, get a ball in the air. And they couldn't deal with it. And I think for United, obviously, they only needed a point, so they thought maybe we'll sit in and Luke Shaw goes into an area where don't really need him to be. Telles has to overcover, then he's not in the position where he needs to be when the ball gets out there. And the early part of the game, they were just chasing shadows. And I think that was the thing for Nagelsmann. He knew the way they got countered in the first game, he was going to play differently, and he did. And it worked. And I think for United, only really once they got behind did they really start playing the way they needed to, like they started towards the end of the game.
Yeah. We expected United to change things at half-time. They did, but once they went 3 down, they left themselves a mountain to climb.
Yeah, they did. You never felt they was actually going to create enough chances to come back into the game. They actually did. This is just before, I think it's almost a minute before.
Yeah, 59 seconds before.
But David De Gea here.
Yeah, he kind of shies away a little bit from it, Paul.
He bottles it, doesn't he? Basically, he's scared of getting himself hurt. It should never go across the box like that. Harry Maguire looks wooden, he's very stiff. And De Gea, even as a goalkeeper, he comes out, make yourself as big as you can. You might get smashed in the face, you might get injured, but he turns his back away. Yeah. He actually makes himself smaller, which is, it's criminal. And for such an experienced goalkeeper, it's criminal.
Yeah. And Kluivert came on, he changed the game. But we were speaking, he got 2 people booked hurt straight away when he came on. His pace, his endeavour, and that bit of class there was definitely one that ended up being a match winner.
Yep.